Good morning, everyone. How you all doing out there in Final Cut Pro land? So we had some pretty exciting news yesterday from Apple. They have announced they have 90-day trials of both Final Cut Pro. Logic has not been updated yet, as far as I know, but it should be any time. Let me just turn this one thing off. Stop that. Okay. Chase says, "Good morning, Richard. Nice mug." It is a nice mug. It's a Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse on one side, or it's Minnie Mouse on both sides, whatever. So this is exciting times. Trying Final Cut Pro out for 90 days and trying Logic out for 90 days is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So the Logic, Chase Yarwood says, trying to figure out how to get the Logic download. I will be posting that link almost as soon as it goes live. They've pre-announced it. Logic 11. Well, listen, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on with that. So Logic, Ben Bowser says Logic trial is not live yet. Should be any day now. That's exactly correct. Or it could be today. What time is it? 10 o'clock. Let me go check the Logic. Let's go check the Logic place there and see if it's actually, I'm going to refresh the page. Plugins. I don't see it. So let's just double check, see if it's out there at the bottom of the page, trial. I think that's where Final Cut is. But we'll keep checking to see if it's available. So right now it's not, but it should be out shortly. So but it's also, Ben says, it's also going to be a 90-day trial just like Final Cut Pro 10. That's absolutely correct. Justine Paula Robillard, our friend from South Africa, says, yes, great news. Chase says, thank you very much for taking care of you. I absolutely will take care of you the best I possibly can. It is not available in the App Store. It is still paid-only download. Yes. Ben says, just looked, not there. Not there yet, but it could happen while we're talking live. It's because it's pretty exciting news. Don't you think it's exciting? First off, Final Cut Pro 10, and it was 90 days. So why did Apple do this? Well, the obvious reason is that because of the current situation, the worldwide situation, it's not isolated to one place, the worldwide situation where people are working from home, collaborating from home. Pro Tools has a license right now. I think it's 90 days. And I think Avid also did the same thing, has a 90-day license or whatever. And I guess Premiere might. I don't know for sure. Eric says he just purchased Logic. That's a good purchase for sure. Ben says Final Cut free trials at top of the page. Logic should look the same. So that's a good point. It should look the same. Let's go and see. Just keep checking. They could happen at any time. I mean, Apple has been they've been very aggressive about taking care of things. Yeah, it's not there yet. So, they closed down. I think the Spaceship campus is completely vacant. I think there's nobody there except maybe the cleaning crew, as far as I know. I mean, that's what I've seen. So we have a comment. Is it because Final Cut Pro is planned for next upgrade and they want people to shift? We are going to talk about that. We are absolutely going to talk about that because it absolutely is due for a new version of Final Cut. Chase says, yes, very exciting. Been wanting to look into Logic for tracking my Roland V drums. Well, that's a good that's a good thing to do. V drums. Logic has its own drummer. Not for Premiere and Resolve. Well, Resolve is free already. You have a free version, right? So that's not really. But Premiere didn't do anything like that, huh? That's interesting that they didn't have an extension. Ben says, Ben Bowser, I think he's in Louisiana. Ben, you're in Louisiana, right? I work with several colleges, and this is saving tons of students from having to buy personal copies right away. It absolutely is, because a lot of the classes are just 30 days, 6 weeks, so they could use this, at least for the time being it is. So Ben says, who's flying the spaceship? Exactly. I mean, as far as I know, the spaceship is vacant. Everybody is working from home from Apple, except maybe they have a cleaning crew or something over there. Who the heck knows? We were supposed to go there last year during the FCPX Creative Summit, and it got canceled at the last minute, so that was very disappointing. So, Brett says, should just make it free. Look, it's almost free. It's $200, $199 if you buy as a professional, and if you're a student, you can get the discount package. There is a discount package for it. And let me just see where that is. Here we go. So let's go here. On the Logic main page, you have 5 amazing apps, 1 powerful collection. You have Logic, Backstage, or main whatever that is, main stage, Final Cut Pro, Motion, and Compressor. And it's $199 for all 5 of those applications for education. If you're a student, if you're a parent of a student, if you're an instructor, you can buy all those. So that's pretty incredible, don't you think? That's a great price for education. So Eric Coleman says, curious how you have this stream set up with everyone streaming now looking for new ideas. If you want to go into that, I can go into that a little bit. So let me just do that because I always get that question. Let me just pull this up real quick. Since this is one of the main things, this is what I use for my main software, okay? Ecamm Live. Now, this is Ecamm Live is one of the applications I use. I also use Restream.io, which allows me to broadcast to YouTube, to Facebook, to Periscope, all at the same time. But both of these are subscriptions. Now, Ecamm Live, I've been a customer of them for years, and I got in just before they went subscription last year. So I have a perpetual license that I get all the updates for free from here on out for that software. But it wouldn't make any difference. It's the best software that I prefer for using on a Macintosh. I think it's Mac only. I'm pretty sure it's Mac only. So Ecamm, E-C-A-M-M Live. However, so I use Ecamm Live, I use Restream.io. But that's not everything that I use. That's just the beginning. That's just the streaming software. I have an Apollo Twin X, which is my audio interface. I love the Apollo line. They're very expensive, but they just sound fantastic. So I use that for one of my audio interfaces. My second audio interface is a Scarlett something or other that I use for playing back movies and stuff. I use the Apollo Twin X for the microphone that I'm using, which is a Neumann TLM 103. You can't see it. It's just out of a screenshot. And then Ben says, aliens have landed and they went home so they don't get sick. That's exactly right. So no professional NLE at this low of a price. Absolutely not. As a student, I confirm that price is incredible. Listen, if you're a student, take a class in a community college and you get those 4 or 5 applications for $199. If you're somebody in your family is a student, I think the parents can get it for $199. Of course, teachers get it. Now, I bought Final Cut Pro when it first came out. I had Logic Pro 9, 8, and 9, and then I bought 10 when it came out. So I've had them forever. We, as Final Cut Pro users, have not paid any more since the original price of Final Cut Pro. 9 years for $299, compared to Premiere, which charges you every month. And I don't mind a subscription model, okay? I'm not a fan of Adobe's prescription model, because if you stop paying, the application you have on your desktop stops working. Unlike other companies, you can freeze whatever version you have if you don't want to get a subscription. With Adobe, if you stop paying, the application you have on your desktop that you've already been using stops working. So I don't like that. That's why I wouldn't ever get that. So anyway, Logic, I'm going to keep checking Logic. Logic. Let's see, just keep checking it. It should be out, like Ben says, on the top of the page. We'll just keep checking. Not there yet. Logic Pro X, Logic Pro 10, X10, 10X. So people always ask me I always talk about using Logic for my more complex audio. If I'm just doing a quick edit in Final Cut, I don't have to worry about it. I mean, I can do everything fine. But when I do more complex things, if I'm doing a music video, I absolutely will take it into Logic, the music into Logic. If I don't have most of my documentaries and stuff that I'm working on, don't have that many tracks of audio, so it's not that critical that I get into Logic. But for example, when I do podcasts, I do those in Logic because there's a lot of reasons, but they're usually an hour and a half long. And as we know, Final Cut does not have a scrolling timeline. So I'm hand scrolling back and forth, an hour and a half long timeline. I don't want to do that. Logic has scrolling timelines, as Avid does, as Premiere does, as Resolve does, as everybody does. LumaFusion, they all have scrolling timelines. And Logic, I put up 2 scrolling timelines. I put an overview up at the top. Now take it, I am looking at waveforms when I'm editing audio. I am looking at the waveforms as they're going by. But I put up an overview at the top, which is very zoomed out. And then below that, I have the audio editor that has a more zoomed in look, so I can do editing down there, but both of them will scroll for me. So people ask about Logic all the time. And here's what I have to say about it. For Final Cut Pro editors I'm talking about, okay? First off, I just put up a new page this morning, Logic for Final Cut Pro editors page. I'm going to keep this updated. It's a master list of Logic Pro resources for Final Cut Pro editors. If I missed one, you can send it, click there and send it here. It goes to an email link. And also here's the FCPX free 90-day trial. Listen, 90-day free trial is really, really incredible. I really, really like that. I think it's going to help spread the word of the Final Cut Pro for a while. Here we are. I'll turn that down. Of course, that's there. So I put up some of my favorite Logic things. There's training. Groove 3 has the most expansive Logic training that I've seen online. And I've been a subscriber to them. I think it's $150 for a year, and you can get all of their tutorials. They have specials every once in a while. It goes to $99. That's usually when I jump in and renew my subscription. So Groove 3 has a ton of Logic stuff. So they have all kinds of audio, but so here's Logic. They have basic, they go back to Logic 8 and Logic 9, all kinds of stuff. I mean, some of the things that are in Logic 8 and Logic 9 it's still applicable to Logic 10. but they have a ton of Logic stuff by there's different people that author them. Advanced tips and tricks, updates are explained. So they're like the first one that I would recommend if you want to seriously learn Logic. Now, once again, Logic is for music creation for the most part. For the most part, it's music creation. I use it for music creation for sure, but I also use it for editing just dialogues and things. Now, people say this all the time, and I have a tendency to agree with them. For the most part, they say that the audio engine in Final Cut and Logic are exactly the same. The quality is the same, and I can hear a difference in Logic. I can just hear a difference in quality of audio. I don't know why. If they're using the same audio engine, I don't know why. I can hear a difference between Digital Performer, which is my other one, and Logic. They all sound a little different. So I prefer Logic for serious audio. But like I said, most of the video that I do doesn't go to Logic. I edit everything right in Final Cut. So that's fine. If you're going to go into Logic, let me go back here. If you're going to get involved with Logic, once again, let me put that back. Okay, here we go. Once again, I have this up on FCPX.tv. It's, if you go to the main page, you'll see it's right on the main page, master list of Logic Pro resources for FCPX editors. So that's what it's going to be. This is for Final Cut Pro editors. Specifically, of course, our friends at Ripple Training have a whole bunch of Logic stuff. So they have Logic. There we have little pop-in windows. They have a bunch of Logic things, of course. Mac Pro Video has a bunch of Logic things. Logic, of course. This company I'm not familiar with, but I saw them this morning when I was looking around. Logic Pro Training there. I'm going to turn these off. Like I said, Gru 3 is probably my favorite because they have a lot of stuff. And you pay $150, you can go to all their tutorials, not just the Logic ones. They have Pro Tools and a bunch of other ones, mostly audio centric. And so that's good. They even have guitar lessons on there. So that's a good one to go to. And I'm going to keep updating these. Here's some great Logic Pro Masterclasses, Part 1 and Part 2 by Guildhall School of Music over in the UK. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. So Eric Coleman says, any quality free resources? Absolutely. There are free ones. YouTube is your friend there. Okay. So once again, go to FCPX.tv, and not only can you get free ones, well, I'm going to keep this list updated. Okay. Right now I have a list up here for some of my favorite YouTube presenters. So this guy, Dance Tech, does a lot of of Logic Pro things. So the idea is you can't guess by the name, Dance Tech. I wouldn't think that would be a Logic Pro, but look, he's got a lot of Logic Pro stuff going on. Now, a lot of this stuff is music related, which you might not be interested in, but there are audio editing things, and it will get you started. EQ and mixing, Logic Pro tutorials, audio tracks, and audio recording. You're not going to be interested in making reggae and dub music. I don't think you are. You might be, but I don't think you are. So once again, FCPX.tv. Here's another guy that has a bunch of Logic things. Logic Pro tutorial mastering. This guy's a bunch of Logic stuff. Once again, Logic. FCPX.tv is where you want to go. Here's another guy that does it. These are some of the ones that I go to. These are all free, of course, on YouTube. Logic, starting in Logic. Once again, that's over at FCPX.tv. And then, of course, we have Logic Pro X, Pro 10. It's X, but it's 10. Ben says Mac Pro Video has an excellent, easy to follow, well done course. Yeah, absolutely. They're right at the top. They're right at the top of my list there. There they are right there, Ben. I have them right there. They're one of my favorite ones. These are my top 3. Groove 3 is my favorite because they're so expansive. Ripple Training, who you know for Final Cut Pro, also has a Logic course. Mac Pro Video has one as well. So those are my top 3 favorites. But anyway, let's go. And then articles. So here's Apple's selection. Today at Apple, Peach Pit Training book. The Peach Pit Training series is good. If you want to go there, you can go there. Let's click on that link and go to the training series book if you want to kind of follow along. So they have, let me see, let's do a search for Logic. Here we go. So they have their training series, and you can get it. Don't pay the full price. There's discounts available if you want to get this. So that's the book for 10.4. Now listen, 10.4, something's going on with Final Cut Pro and Logic both. 10.4, Final Cut Pro 10.4 is 27 months old at this point. A typical update between full number updates of Final Cut Pro is only 16 months. It's only 16 months. So there's Ben Bowser says the Logic book is great. I buy all of those books, those trainer books. I mean, I'm a trainer. I'm not a trainer for Logic. I think Ben probably is. I'm not a trainer for Logic, and I don't want to be a trainer for Logic. But I use Logic all the time. I started audio editing 10 years before I did any video editing. I started with reel-to-reel decks, and then I went to Digital Performer. But anyway, so people ask me all the time, how should I get involved with Logic as an editor? How do I do it? What are some of the resources? Once again, go to FCPX.tv, and I'm going to keep a list there, Logic for Final Cut Pro editors specifically. Now, I am not Ben says, I think there is an advanced Logic book, ATPS, that is very advanced. I think you're right, Ben. I think you're right. So if you get to that point, I am not a Logic, I would say a mid-level with Logic. I don't do much with MIDI. What I do is I record bands. I record my own band with it, and I edit my podcast in it, and I do more extensive audio, just audio dialogue in it as well. But I'm not involved with the MIDI stuff. I do a little bit. I have a little bit of the drum stuff. But I'm not an advanced Logic user. I'd say I'm a mid-level, a more advanced with Final Cut Pro because I do that more. But Ben says, yes, I am a composer and engineer audio for TV. There you go. Ben Bowser. Ben, send your contact info where people can find you so that if they have any questions, your Twitter handle, whatever. So when people ask about Logic, I always say, there's a couple of things I want to say. Logic is more complex than Final Cut Pro, period. It's a more complex app. It's been around a lot longer than Final Cut Pro has. So if you just jump into it thinking you're going to be dealing with GarageBand or Soundtrack Pro, that's not the case. It's much more complex. It doesn't mean you can't use it, but you have to put some time in to learn it, to do the things that you want it to do. Do you absolutely need it? No. If you're a Final Cut Pro editor, Final Cut Pro is completely capable of doing video and audio. I just like Logic a lot. I just like it a lot. I use it I'm very familiar with it. I have the tools. I'm very familiar with the way things work in Logic, and I really like it. For example, somebody was talking yesterday on Twitter about why doesn't Final Cut Pro have a crossfade, a native crossfade. When I go into Logic and I'm working on a dialogue track, sometimes I have hundreds of individual clips that I've cut things out of. I'll condense a 1 hour, hour and a half track of dialogue down to 45 minutes. So I have a lot of edits. I can put a crossfade on every one of those edits with a single click in Logic. A single click, I can apply hundreds of crossfades across the track instantly. And I can adjust it. Then I can choose the kind of crossfade, and I can choose how many milliseconds it is. That's one of the things that I use in Logic all the time. So that's one of the things I like. So here's Ben's information. FC Final Cut Pro X Guru. That's where you can find him. So my point is about if you're a Final Cut Pro editor, do you need Logic? No. If you find you want to do some other things with audio versus what Final Cut Pro can do, then there's no reason, especially now you have 90 days, 3 months to jump in for free. See if you like it. If you like it, buy it for $199, or if you're educational. Look, if it was me now, I would go register for a class at a community college and buy the educational bundle. If I didn't have Logic and I didn't have Final Cut Pro, it's an incredible deal. That's what I would do personally. So I got a comment, are you planning for some tunes for Logic Pro on YouTube? Yes, I am. But once again, there's a lot of people out there that are better at Logic than I am for music production and some of the other more advanced things. There's tons of people on YouTube for free or take some of the courses. I'm going to concentrate on Logic for Final Cut Pro editors. That's what I'm going to concentrate on. I'm going to do short, couple-minute long video tutorials on Logic for Final Cut Pro editors to teach people how to do some of the things that I do all the time, how to set it up. One of the things in Logic that I wish Final Cut Pro had, is a lot of things that I wish Final Cut Pro had, is an advanced menu. Logic has an advanced menu that you can click on a whole checklist of things if you want them on, or you can keep it simple. So let me play this real quick now that I'm talking about that. Well, actually, I can't play that because I didn't download it. What did I do here? Okay, I'll do that in a minute. Let's go ahead and check on the Logic site. Here we go. See if they got a free trial up yet. Not yet. Let's just keep on checking while we're here in case they sneak it in. Ben says they had it at the top for Final Cut Pro, so let's go here. Nope, it's not there yet, but I suspect it'll be here maybe by Monday or Tuesday. One of the other things is that Logic has never had a trial, right? Logic's never had a trial before, and then they come out with this 90-day trial. So this is most likely because of the current work-from-home situation that everybody's in, the entire world is in. So Apple said, well, while people are home, let them go ahead and learn Logic. Let them learn Final Cut Pro. There's no better time to learn it. 90 days, 3 months, April, May, June. So all the way through June, you get it for free. Now, if you like it, you can go ahead and buy it. If you're a professional or even semi-professional, $200 is not going to, bankrupt you. It's going to be something that you'll be able to use. So the other things that could be happening, there can be 2 reasons or 3 reasons why they've done this all of a sudden. The main reason is because of the situation that everybody's in right now. working from home, collaborating, but there's also could be other reasons. 10.5, Final Cut Pro 10.5 and Logic 10.5 are, in my opinion, they're due in 2020 at any time. They could be coming at any time. So they might say, okay, we're going to give this, let people use this for 90 days, get used to it, and then when 10.5 comes out, they might jump on that, buy that, both, either one. 10.4 is over 27 months old. Typically, it's only 16 months, so something big is going on, something bigger than usual. Whether that's a rewrite or something else, don't know, but something is bigger than usual. It's not usual to take 27 months between full number updates in Final Cut Pro. The only one that was more than that was 10.0 to 10.1, and that was 30 months. So they can release it at any time. 10.5 can come out at any time. And Logic and Final Cut Pro are about the same. Logic is 10.4.8, I think, and then so is Final Cut Pro. They could release 10.4.9 with bug fixes. I've had problems with Final Cut Pro just last week with HEVC stuff from my iPhone. I've had problems, and it's repeatable, and I can do it, I can show what it is. All righty. So as far as learning Logic, those are the resources that I've shown you. So once again, FCPX.tv, go to the main page. Just you can go to the main page there, and it's right on the main page. Master list of Logic Pro 10 resources for FCPX editors. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be doing Logic tutorials. There are people out there that have been doing Logic tutorials for years and years and years. These are the paid places: Groove 3 training, Ripple training, Mac Pro video, the top 3 to recommend. Free places, the Master Class Part 1 and Part 2. I'm going to play this for you right now, just because this is one of the things that I put up. Let me play that for you. These are Logic Pro 10 features I wish Final Cut Pro 10 had. So those are some of the things that I wish Final Cut Pro had. Ben says he did a 13-minute video to get folks up and running initially. It's not in-depth, but a great start for the first-time user. And here is the link. I'm not sure if that's going to, let me just turn this off. So if that's going to add to broadcast, there's the link if you want to watch Ben's tutorial on it. Like I said, there's lots of people out there doing really, really cool Logic tutorials. A lot of them are free on YouTube, and then some of the more in-depth ones are on the page that I have there for you. Let's just check Logic and see if they've updated it. I'll keep checking it. They have not updated it yet, not at the top of the page anyway. So this is a comment. You mentioned you haven't paid extra cents when you purchased Final Cut Pro 10. That's correct. Final Cut Pro 10 cost $299 back in 2011, and every update, I think it's 30 updates at this point, none of them have been charged up to this point. So he says, would it be the case between current version and upcoming as well? I'm sure it will be, especially if you buy it. Well, I'm not sure. I'm just saying. So listen, they could be allowing a 90-day trial for 10.4.8 because they're going to charge for 10.5. Is that likely? No, I don't think it's likely, but it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. If they have a brand new version of Final Cut they've been working on for 27 plus months, they certainly could charge for it, and I wouldn't mind. If they did, that's what they need. So Ben says, okay, folks, television stations never stop. Broadcasting will have to do work today. Hope everybody has a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for these shows, Richard. Peace. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for stopping by. So I'm going to be doing some of these. I'll be doing, like I said, go to FCPX.tv, and I will be doing I'm going to just do some stuff, Logic for Final Cut Pro users. That's what I'm going to be doing specifically. I'll keep them, but by the same token, this is going to be a resource, a master list of Logic Pro 10 resources for Final Cut Pro editors. This is what it is specifically. It's not going to be in-depth Logic tutorials. I'm not going to be doing that. I've got other things I got to be doing. So, speaking of that, as if I didn't need, let me see here, something else to do. Let me pull this up. As if I didn't need another podcast to do. So I'm doing Final Cut Pro Radio. As you know, I've been doing podcasting for 15 years now. I started podcasting before Apple had podcasts. I started another one. Just recently, because of the situation in our local situation and the same situation that's worldwide. Hey everyone, my name is Richard Taylor. I am going to be starting a new podcast series, and I'm going to be interviewing your neighbors around Carroll County while we're trying to get through this spring of 2020. I checked in with a few of the merchants here on Main Street. We'll be talking to a few of them. So that's something that I've started, another podcast. That's what I needed, right? Another podcast. I already have two major ones that I do audio-only podcasts. This one is just a podcast interviewing people in where I live in Carroll County in Maryland. And I've started that one just to catalog what's been going on, what people are doing, how they're getting by during the situation right now. One of the things, like, for example, this guy... Maybe Facebook or YouTube.
Sure.
So who came up with the idea?
The Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, technically. They're the ones that freed up anybody with a distilled spirits permit to be able to do it. This is actually our first little test batch.
So this guy has turned his distillery into making hand sanitizer. For example, this is a local guy. That's fascinating to me. So I interviewed him. I've interviewed some other shop owners. I interviewed my boxing instructor. He's having a hard time. He's doing everything online. I've interviewed a video producer who's lost all his business in 1 week. He also does live streaming. These are the kind of people I'm interviewing. I'm also going to interview just regular people on that. So you can find that on, just search for Richard Taylor TV on iTunes. That's another podcast. And any chance 10.5 would also implement it in iPad OS? Of course, that's always a possibility, and there's been a lot of requests for that, but I don't think they're going to do that because they featured LumaFusion in their ad for the new iPad Pro. And I'm not really in the market for an iPad Pro right now, but I'm tempted to get one just so I can use LumaFusion more efficiently than I have. So we'll see if Apple. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to. I think LumaFusion is fantastic. Brett Williams says looks like Carroll County, Georgia. Does it? We have a main street that could be from the 1800s down there in Sykesville. This is my boxing instructor, where I learn stuff inside his gym there. I do a lot of stuff like that. So, I interview a lot of people like that down that new podcast. Just look for Richard Taylor TV. The series is called Neighbors. And I just have one episode up right now. I will be doing another episode. So as far as Final Cut Pro goes and Logic, which is what we're here for, like I said, I have all these places. Go to FCPX.tv, and right on the main page there, let me put that back down. There we go. Right on the main page, you have master list of Logic Pro 10 resources for Final Cut Pro editors. That's where I'm going to be keeping the master list updated. There's training YouTube for free articles and books. This guy is really cool. Graphically enhanced manuals. He has a lot of very, very cool Logic manuals. He also has Final Cut Pro manuals as well. So any questions? Let's check back and see if they've updated it yet. I don't think they have. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a few tutorials for Logic Pro, for Final Cut Pro editors specifically. It's not Logic Pro, because there's plenty of people out there that are doing a fine job. One of the other things about Logic Pro that I really like, I find it curious that Apple hasn't done this yet, is this thing. This is a Logic Pro companion iPad app. And all this time, 9 years, and we don't have a companion app for Final Cut Pro yet. After everything is apps, iPhones, iPads. This is a Logic Pro companion app that you can control Logic. You can pull a plug-in up here and control that. This is the mixing board, of course, play and things. So it's amazing to me that Final Cut Pro does not have it. It's just amazing. Would you guys like to see that? Would you like to see an iPad app for Final Cut Pro? I would, for sure. Plugins and stuff, get the whole graphic user interface there. So what do we have here? Let me see here. Ben sent a photo. What did he send? Oh, yeah. So Ben sent this photo. Here's the free trial on the Final Cut Pro page. Right there, it says free trial. You can expect the Logic page to do exactly the same thing. Thank you, Ben. To be right there when it comes live. So Tim says, yes, thanks for all your work and keeping us informed and entertained. Yeah, entertained for sure. For informed the best I can. Yes, totally. Pauline says, Robillard. So these are some of the things that this scrolling title that I have here right now. This is a new version of Ecamm Live that has this. You can have a bunch of them. I have one there, and of course I have one up here as well. I'm just playing with them. It's a real nice feature they have. This is actually a beta version of the software. You can join the beta team, and you can get this beta. They allow you to have the beta and play with it. And it's stable enough that it's very stable, as a matter of fact. So Daria Saeed says, where are you located? Based, please. I am on the East Coast of the United States, like halfway between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. I worked in D.C. I've been working at D.C. for years, 20-some years. So I'm used to traveling to Washington and Baltimore. Baltimore, I take my car. Washington, I take the metro. I'm not working in Washington right now, and I am really, really glad because that metro, it's a very clean metro. It's probably the cleanest metro I've ever been on in my life. They don't allow any food on it. You can't take any open containers of water or food. It's against the law. It's very clean, but it's still like a Petri dish. You go in there and you're completely confined for 30 minutes with people coming in and out. So I'm glad I'm not on that metro right now. I haven't been working in DC for a few years. Can you do multicam switch via eCam? I can. Look, let me show you. I can do this. If this is what you mean. I can have up to 5 people. If I had a Skype version, if somebody wants to join in on Skype, I can send them the link. I can have up to 5 people in the interface. But right now, of course, it's just me. And then I am from the UK, Daria says. Congratulations. I've been to the UK like 6 times. I really like it there. So if you have any questions, one of the things that I want to just say in general right now is of all the people that I'm grateful for, I've always been grateful for blue-collar workers. But during this time, doctors, hospital staff, nurses, first responders, the grocery people that stock your grocery stores, delivery drivers that are still working, truck drivers, these people, the police, firefighters, pharmacists, these people are the people that you want to thank. Every time I go to the grocery store, which is like once a week, I always stop and thank the people that are stocking the shelves for coming into work and making sure we have food there. He says, Daria says, I want to ask a question. I want to advance my Final Cut Pro skills. Is there a particular training you recommend? Yes, that would be. Let's pull this up. Let me see if I can pull that up. Yes, I can. I would recommend Ripple training for Final Cut Pro. Ripple training for Final Cut Pro, which is once again on my master list. They have training for Logic as well. So go to Ripple training. They're really, really good. But there's other companies that are good too. Mac Pro Video does some excellent training. Of course, you can get training from YouTube. But as far as a course goes, I would say Ripple would be the best one for Final Cut Pro. That would be my recommendation. I'm also friends with Steve and Mark. Daria says, sure, we need to be grateful. It's just that, normally you get rock stars and movie stars hogging all the limelight. I don't care about them. They're not helping us in this situation. These blue-collar workers, the person that stocks your shelf at your grocery store, that's who's helping. The delivery drivers, the restaurant workers that are still working and providing carry-out, truck drivers, of course, getting supplies everywhere. These are the people. Pharmacists, doctors, of course, nurses, hospital staff. Of course, that's who you want to thank. If you just see somebody stocking your shelf in your store, don't go up to them. You got to keep 6 feet away. Don't shake their hand. Just thank them. Just say a simple thank them. So what do we have here? So I'm in Italy near Venice, and yes, doctors and nurses are our heroes much more right now. They're always heroes, but you're absolutely correct. Right now, the blue-collar workers are the ones that are keeping this country going. They really are. I don't care about rock stars and Hollywood people who are multi-millionaires telling us how to do things. I'm not interested in that. The blue-collar workers are keeping this country going. None of the movie stars, none of the rock stars are doing. They're not, for the most part, aren't helping anything right now. So anyway, I think I'm going to hop off here once again. Let me see here. So we had a question. I didn't get it for some reason. It said, what features you'd love to have in 10.5? There's a lot of features I'd like to see in 10.5. If you want to find out about the features in 10.5, let me see if I can pull that up. I have a whole list of features for 10.5. And I've been doing this for a long time, by the way. So this is my feature list. If you go to the main page, 101 requests for Final Cut Pro 10. Of course, your list may be different. This is not a list for native. This is a list for native features for Final Cut Pro, not a list for third-party plugins, add-ons, workarounds, or hacks. So, of course, scrolling timeline is my main one I've had for years and years and years. I'd like to see pro audio features. Project Live scrubbing in the browser. Why don't we have that? Why don't we have, listen, you can scrub a compound clip in the browser. You can scrub a multicam clip in the browser. You can scrub a project clip when you go to export it. In the export window, the share window, you can scrub a project clip. Why can't you scrub it in the browser? 9 years. We don't have it. We don't have that ability. I don't know why. A clip logger, there's all kinds of things. I have 100 and some B-RAW support, so I don't even shoot in B-RAW, but everybody wants B-RAW support, so I put it on the list. Anyway, those are my requests. Thanks for the webcast. It's been so interesting. So listen, hello, Richard, keep the show during those times. So everybody's home right now. They're watching. You can watch this later. My recommendation is for Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro. If you're going to spend some time learning it, yes, it's certainly going to help you. If you have spare time now, it's a great application. It's very, very robust, but don't jump in thinking that you're going to learn it in one day. Don't think it's Soundtrack Pro. It's not. It's much more complex than that. But you don't have to learn all that stuff. It isn't. You don't have to learn about the drummer in Logic Pro 10. If you're not a music producer, you don't need to know that. You don't need a lot of this stuff. But if you want to learn it, I recommend it. 90 days. Let's see if they updated it yet. Nope, not there yet. No free trial yet. There are lots of things that I like about it. I mean, look, there's so many things for Final Cut Pro that that this is better than Final Cut Pro for audio. Well, it should be. Logic Remote. Yeah, the Final Cut Pro has these plugins from Logic. Yes, they do. I like using them in Logic a lot better than I do in Final Cut Pro. Samples, if you're going to do samples. So when I do music for videos, the important videos, I write it myself and record it myself, so there's no problems with YouTube doing a strike and all that stuff and pulling your song down because Final Cut, because somebody had an algorithm said you don't have. Flex time is really, really cool. Flex time in Logic. There's a lot of things. Here's the Logic Remote. Look at this. So we had some more comments. It says a 3D one for planar tracking. There are plugins in Motion 5 for a tracker. Absolutely. And it says Motion Tracker is okay, but the DaVinci Resolve is amazing, I must say. I have to agree with you. I'm looking forward. NAB was canceled. I'm really looking forward to what Blackmagic is going to introduce. I presume they're going to have a press conference the same week that they were going to be at NAB this year. I've never been to NAB New York, but I might go this year since it was canceled in Las Vegas. Here's some more stuff. Logic Pro. So you don't, like, this is a drummer. You don't need a drummer. It's really incredible. You can do your own drums in Logic. Build your own drum kit, compositions and performances, complete studio for your Mac. Once again, this is mainly lyric, mainly music, but I do a lot of dialogue editing in here. So you have track alternatives. You can do comping, takes and quick swipe comping, which is kind of like a compound clip, except it stays in the timeline. You don't jump to another timeline. I really like that. Track stacks. It's like folders of tracks, multiple tracks. You can choose which one they're all under in one folder. Project alternatives. Of course, Final Cut has that. Automation is much more advanced than Logic, so I really like it. So one of the questions I get all the time is, do you use XML from Final Cut Pro to Logic? It doesn't quite work the way I'd like for it to work. It works a little bit, but it needs work. So they should get that straightened out, okay? Look, Final Cut's been out for 9 years. Logic has been out for much longer. After 9 years, you can't get the XML between your two Pro apps working better, so it's more reliable? I don't understand. I'm not sure. So Ben sent a link, facebook.com, Apple Pro Apps Resources. We'll look at that. So here's music and sound for picture. Music, Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro makes scoring and sound design a snap. Import a QuickTime Movie. If you're editing with Final Cut Pro, import XML to recreate your video project right in Final Cut Pro. Yes, that's available. Yes, it's a little clunky still. All right, let's see if before we go here, it's still not there. I don't see it. If you want to start with GarageBand. I mean, it's like a light version. It's like iMovie is for Final Cut Pro. All right, everyone. I think we've done enough today here. If you like this stuff, once again, I'm going to go to FCPX.tv, master list of Logic Pro 10 resources for FCPX editors. I'm going to be updating that today. I have dozens of things right now. There's training, YouTube, which is free. These are places to learn. Here's the article, Final Cut Pro to Logic Pro and back. It's an older video, but it does go through how to get...
Hey, what's up? So, it's all about FCPX to Logic Pro X for sound mix. This is the...
So you can go there. That's one of the ones. It's an older one. I know other people have had limited success. It works kind of, but sometimes it's not. It's not as robust as it should be between two pro apps from the same company, in my opinion. So anyway, good luck everyone using Logic. I'm going to be doing short tutorials, a few of them, specifically Logic for Final Cut Pro editors. I'm not going to do expansive ones. I'm already busy as heck. And I'm not going to do, there's plenty of people out there that know Logic better than me, but I have the ability to use Logic and Final Cut Pro both. So some of the Logic people don't do Final Cut Pro, so they don't know what we need necessarily. But there's tons of resources and information about Logic. Let's just check one more time before we go. See if it comes up. I will be posting, of course, on Twitter, Richard Taylor TV. Facebook, Richard Taylor TV. But don't send the friend requests. Just, you can follow me there. I don't accept friend requests from people I don't know because my Facebook page is not a Final Cut Pro page. If you want a Final Cut Pro page, there is a Final Cut Pro, FCPRadio.com, of course. That's where the podcast is. And here's the countdown timer. Final Cut Pro 10.4 is 27 months old and 12 days at this point. I have a new podcast coming out this week. Today or tomorrow it will be out for Final Cut Pro Radio. You can go there, of course. And FCPX.tv. That's another place you can go to get the Logic stuff. Right there. Of course, YouTube, Richard Taylor TV. This has been FCPX. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Final Cut Pro Radio TV Live. So he says, thanks, Richard. Stay safe. I intend to stay safe. Bye, all the chat. Stay safe. See you all soon. Everybody, please stay safe. Listen to what people are telling you. Stay in as much as you can. Wash your hands. I wear gloves when I go out. I haven't been to the grocery store for 4 or 5 days. I'll probably go this weekend, early in the morning. Seems to be best for me. Everybody, please be safe. It's a difficult time right now. This is a good time to learn a new resource, a new skill. So one of the things that I do, and I recommend from everybody, is I go walking. Here we are doing another walk, Carroll County, Maryland. Beautiful day. It's a little bit overcast, but you can tell spring is on its way. So I do these walks, and I take my camera along, and I'll catalog them, and I'll show people, get out and walk, get out in the sunshine. Today is the first day that I've gone out for my normal morning run between 6 and 7 in the morning is when I normally go, because I've been walking in sunshine instead. I highly recommend get out and get some exercise. If you don't feel like it, too bad. Get out and get some exercise. It's a good thing for you. Get outside if you can. So here's one more thing I'm going to show you. I am a musician, and this is why I like Logic. So that is me with my 69 Strat that I've customized in my Mesa Boogie Mark III. The software in the background was not Logic because downstairs in my studio I was running that particular song that I was working on was actually Digital Performer, which is what I did a lot of my old stuff on. I did use Digital Performer before I went to Logic. Now I would just stick with Logic. As a matter of fact, next week I'll be going downstairs and I'll be cataloging this for everybody to watch if they want to watch. I'm going to bring my reel-to-reel decks back to life. I'm going to bring them back to life. I got to dust them off. I got to use a cotton swab to swab the heads and the rollers, the pinch rollers and stuff. And I'm going to catalog that as I bring them back to life. I'm going to be using them for some projects, reel-to-reel, magnetic tape. I have 6 reels that I bought that are not opened, that don't have the issue of shedding that the older reels have. So I'll probably be doing that next week. I also will be doing a couple of tutorials on my mobile setup. I do a lot of mobile iPhone videography right now, mobile setup, and I want to do some stuff, especially audio. How to get good audio in the iPhone. I have the iPhone 4 Max. This is a fantastic iPhone. I really, really like it. So I use this all the time now when I'm videotaping instead of taking my GH5 out. But anyway, Fred Rose III said, you've got to love WoW in Flutter. Yes, you do. And if you notice, all the plugin manufacturers emulate tape machines, don't they? They try to get that sound from tape machines. I'm not sure. I might be recording on. I have a band that comes in and actually records on the tape. We'll end up in Logic, though. Even if we do the multi-tracking on tape, we'll still end up going into Logic for editing. It's so much, it's so cool to edit in Logic audio and stuff. Anyway, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Let people know that this is out there, the resource is out there. Let's just check one more time and see if they've updated it. They probably have not yet. Not yet. Still not there. Just keep checking back on the Logic Pro site. And let me pull that down. And like I said, keep going to FCPX.tv. That's where you want to go. Main page, you can go right there, and then master list of Logic Pro 10 resources for Hanukkah Pro editors. I'll keep this updated all day today. Training, free YouTube stuff, tons of YouTube stuff, books. Of course, the manual, the help manual. This is very, very good. You can go there. Talks all about it. And Final Cut Pro 10.5, Logic 10.5 will be coming out in 2020. Final Cut Pro 10.4 is 27 months old, 27 months and 12 days, I believe it is. Anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for stopping by. Let me see. Do I have... Oh, yeah, sure. It's me, Richard Taylor. Thanks, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter, Richard Taylor TV, YouTube, Richard Taylor TV, Facebook, Richard Taylor TV, Periscope. If you're watching on Periscope, Richard Taylor TV. I'm going to get out of here if you have any more questions. And keep looking for Learn Logic. I'll help you as much as I can. If you have questions about using Logic with Final Cut Pro, I'll help you as much as I can. I haven't done the XML transfer for a while. I'll try it out and see if it's working like it should be. The last time I tried it, it was maybe about 60, 70% there. But, you know, once again, they've had 9 years. They've had over 9 years. It should work better. 2 Pro apps from Apple. Final Cut Pro team, thank you. Thank you, Final Cut Pro team. Thank you, Logic team. Thank you, Pro Apps team at Apple. We all appreciate you. Everybody stay safe. This is Richard Taylor. I'll see you the next time. Thanks for stopping by.